Okay, welcome to the video. SIG Guy here, and I am super excited about this one today. Today we're going to do an unboxing video, and I cannot wait to show you the one that's inside here today, so let's get started. Okay, before we get started, there's going to be a lot of jibber jabber in this video, I'm not going to lie. When I get excited, I love to talk, and if you don't like the sound of my voice, then this video is not for you. Anyway, when I got that 226 X5 from Milos over at Armory Craft, my view on SIGs was forever changed. That was the nicest pistol that I've ever had, that shot the nicest, it felt the nicest, it looked the nicest. It was just pretty awesome pistol. And then SIG USA came out with their version of that same pistol, which is every bit just as nice. It's like 99.9% just as nice. There's a couple little things that the German one outclasses the American one in, but they're very subtle. Most people wouldn't even notice these things. But anyway, so when they came out the 226 X5 from SIG USA, I was always thinking it would be so awesome if they did a Legion 226 X5. And that would be like the cat's meow out of SIG USA. Anyway, lo and behold, boom, that's what they got. So if I had two pistols that were my top two, tied for number one, this would be one of them, hammer fired. And then for the striker fired, I'd have to go with the P226 Alpha. Okay, and if you don't know what the P226 Alpha is, Google it. If I can find a picture, I'll put it in this video. It was teased by the German Master Shop when they were open a long time ago when SIG USA started coming out with the 320s. And what it was is an all-metal P226 like X5. And this is before the AXG was even thought about. This is before, I believe, the TXG. I don't even think that was out yet. It kind of looked like a tomb gun, but it wasn't glossy black. It was just all regular, like, matte black. And it didn't have wood grips and stuff like that, obviously, like the tomb guns. But it looked so awesome. And if anybody from SIG is watching this video that has any influence on decision-making over there, that would be an awesome one to make. I think that would probably go above the AXG Legion, in my opinion. Anyway, so those would be the tied for the top two. Enough with all that. Let's open this baby up and take a look and see what we got. So I'm going to let everybody know right up front, I'm going to be a little bit of a negative Nancy here in the beginning, because I want this to be the best review video on YouTube that really covers every single thing, the stuff that you do get, as well as some of the stuff that you don't get, okay? So let's start off by, I get this delivered by FedEx. Comes in a cardboard box, obviously. I open up my cardboard box, and this is what I see. Instantly, I think I might have cried. I'm not sure. But I'm sad right off the bat. Why? Because when I bought my last 226 X5, this is the case it came with, okay? So both of them are priced exactly the same. This is what it came with last time. We have our briefcase style locks on here, which you open them up. You open up your case, and it's like, la. You're like, oh my God, this is nice. So you have all your stuff in here. You have your nice foam. This isn't even the crappy foam. This is like the really soft foam, not that hard plastic shit. But anyway, so nice foam. We have this nice fabric in here. Feels almost like velvet or suede or I don't know what it is. It's almost too nice to touch, so don't touch it. You got your two magazines and molded thing over here. You have your coin that it comes with and a place to put it right there. Up top here, you got a nice little pocket that you can put some documents and stuff in there. And then you have that same, don't touch it. You have that same material up here that's super nice. But this is when you pay for a $2,300, $2,400, $2,500 gun, and this is the type of case you get. You're like, wow, this is like next level, okay? So this is the expectation that has been set for this range of a pistol. Okay. Instead, when you buy the same dollar amount pistol and it comes with the same case that your $500 pistol came in, a little bit of a disappointment. You know what I'm saying? If this case here was for the 226 X5 Legion and it had the nice Legion emblem in the middle, like the SIG logo here, boom, that would have been a home run out of the park from SIG. Instead, we get a pop fly, easy out case, which is pretty disappointing when you're spending $2,300, $2,400, $2,500 and you're expecting one thing and then you spend the same amount of money and you get this. You can see where I'm a little just upset, but some people are like, who cares? It's a case. It's going in the closet. It's going in the attic. You're never going to use it again anyway. But those other cases, you could travel with them. They had the locks on them. If you don't have a safe, you can secure them with, the locks on the case. It's just a nice little extra added benefit, okay? Then when you open up this one here, and then you see your 226 X5, you forget all about the case, what case, you kind of over that. But, so here's what you get when you open it up, your 226 X5. Right away you see we got 2 magazines with one more in the pistol itself. So we got 3 Netgar magazines. Very nice magazines. Everybody knows how expensive magazines are from SIG. We got a nice logo in the bottom, nice finger groove here. 3 20-round magazines. It does say 18 on there, but you can get 20 in there, obviously. So we have 3 of those. We have the pistol itself. We got a chamber flag. And then we have our other stuff in here, our serial number tag that goes around our trigger guard. We got our SIG Sauer sticker, which my truck should definitely use another one of those. And we have our test target. That's pretty nice. We're getting kind of used to that with these higher-end pistols. So here's the test target from SIG Sauer, 226 X5 9mm Legion with our serial number. V-Crown, 10 meters, 5 shots from Chris Wood. Very nice shooting, brother. I guess that could be a female too, so if that's the case, very nice shooting sister. We have the aim point right here, our 5-shot group, and then the eye is the average of our impact right there in the middle. So a very consistent shot group. Very good job. It's nice to have that. Adds to the collectability, like our European 226 X5 that came with the test target from Alexandria, which is pretty awesome. I actually sent mine to Germany to have her sign it. So I'm very happy that she took care of that for me. Adds, again, to the collectability to any firearm. So, yeah. So then we have this. This is my other disappointment with the packaging and everything. We have not a owner's manual, but a cover our ass manual. Scan this code for operator's manual and registration. So basically in here, we just have all kinds of disclaimers and stuff to cover their ass. I mean, I am a huge fan of manuals, okay? And I'm not against computers and all that crap because it does make our lives easier. But I'm a guy that likes all of this stuff organized right where I know where it is. So I have any questions about whatever I'm dealing with, I can get that manual out, go right to the page. Boom, there's my answer right from the manufacturer. It's 100% correct. We don't get that anymore. So in SIG Sauer, their manuals are awesome. Their armor's course manuals, their old book or manuals that came with your firearms, the illustrations. They put so much time and effort into making those manuals. They are the best I've ever seen from any manufacturer. I just wish with a $2,300, $2,400, $2,500 gun, they ponied up the extra couple of dollars to make their manuals. So that's a thumbs down, another strike, another pop fly, another easy out from SIG. So it is what it is. And when you do go to the website, it's just the owner's manual for the 226 X5. It's not to do with the Legion. It doesn't talk anything about the comp. It doesn't talk about any TXG grips or any other features that the tritium sights. It doesn't talk about all that stuff that this has. It's just the same crap from the other X5, which either make another manual online specific to this one or include it with the gun. That's all I'm getting at. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but being in my previous profession for 30 years, relying on manuals and stuff to do stuff properly, their diagrams in there, the parts lists are in there. I got a guy asking me the other day about maintenance schedules. He has no idea, where did I get that maintenance schedule from? Well, it's in an armor's book that you guys can't get unless you take a course. I mean, all that stuff should be made available to everybody, so they can easily get it. And I'm sure that's online. It's just a matter of somebody finding it. Anyway, so we have a couple more things here to do with ammo discounts on that, which is nice. And then those of you that are already part of the Legion Club, it's not like Fight Club. We can talk about this. We got this stuff here where you go online. If you don't have an account already, create an account. If you do have an account, sign in, and then go under registration, your Legion Firearm. You put in your information stuff there. They email you a code. You put that code in at checkout. So when you add your free bag here, like a range bag, and then your Legion coin, they do have the Legion coin specific to the 226X5 Legion. They got all the other Legion coins, your AXG one on there, 226, 229, all the X5. They're all on there. So it's the coin specific to this pistol. You put it in your cart, and then you put your code in. And then when you check out, they're not even asking you for a credit card or anything. It's absolutely free. Shipping's free. Shipping was going to be like $13.95, I think I saw on there. That's completely free. I did it last night. They say within I think it was 1 day or 2 days, it'll be shipped out or whatever. It's very fast. You're not waiting for this stuff. So it didn't come today, so I'm guaranteeing it'll be here tomorrow, the bag and the coin. So the bag's kind of nice. You got places for your magazines up there. You can put your firearm in there and then do whatever you want with your coin. And then we got our window sticker, which is pretty cool, and then a regular sticker here for whatever else. So that's the stuff there. Chamber flag we already talked about. We do have a lock in here, which is pretty standard with every single firearm nowadays. So you can make your pistol so it's not able to fire if you don't have a safe, and you can actually lock it to stuff so it can't be stolen or whatever the case may be. So there's what you get when you open it up. That's all what's included. So let me put all this stuff back in here. We'll get the firearm out itself, and then we'll deep dive into actually what we get here with the 226X5 Legion. All right, so there she is in all her glory, SIG Sauer P226X5 Legion. The very first thing we're going to do whenever handling any firearm is we're going to make sure it's a clear and safe firearm. So we're going to remove our magazine. We're going to lock our slide to the rear. We're going to physically and visually check, make sure there's no round in the chamber, no magazine. Check our breech face, look away, chamber, magazine, breech face. We are working on a clear and safe firearm. So let's take a closer look at her. I absolutely love this thing. I love the tactical look of it. I mean, there's there's a bunch of different types of people, but when it comes to looks, when you have your tactical looking one versus your, everybody calls it classic. They're all both classics, but the elegant one, this is still kind of on the tactical side because they got the wooden grip one, which would be the elegant one or whatever. But this is my flavor right here. I like the tactical stuff. This here's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not the Equinox stainless kind of look guy. I like the black, the camouflage, digicam, whatever. Just more of the tactical look. So this here fills that slot big time for me. So again, just like your 226X5, this does come with a flat trigger. We'll get to that when I talk about the trigger. I love how they're putting the Legion emblems in the slides now. But there you go. So there's kind of a once around. Now let's just kind of go from here all the way down to here. We'll talk about all the different components that we're going to talk about. So first off, we have our integrated comp, which is like a dual port compensator. SIG's calling it an expansion chamber. And it does use the shorter barrel, obviously. So you have your integrated comp versus adding a comp to a threaded barrel sticking out the front. There's quite a bit of stuff here to talk about. First of all, like the naysayers on Facebook. I mean, the guys that say that this stuff doesn't work, it doesn't justify the price of getting that. I already know that person hasn't bought one because they just said it didn't justify the price of getting one. So I don't know how they have an opinion on something that they haven't shot. Very biased, very misleading. And if they did shoot one, it wasn't theirs or whatever the case may be. Maybe their technique's wrong. Maybe the setup wasn't correct. I don't know. But long story short, all these companies, everything's going to integrated comp nowadays. And all these companies are investing in it. So they're not going to invest all this money in a gimmick, okay? Because eventually people are going to be like, hey, that's a gimmick. And they're not going to buy them. They're going to be stuck with all this inventory of paperweights that they can't sell. So 100% works. And where you have the integrated comp versus the external comp, I'm a huge fan of the integrated comp. For one, because I get less emails about people trying to tune their firearms because they put a compensator on the end of their barrel, which in my opinion, it actually works better than an integrated comp just because you have the extra weight associated with that comp, which is helping with the muzzle flip, okay? Both of them, as far as the ports, they do the exact same thing, but the extra added weight on an external comp does help, and it comes with a bunch of extra issues, tuning issues, where these don't have that tuning issue. So when you put a compensator on the end of your barrel, you have to compensate for that mass that you've added to your firearm, because it's not made to cycle with all that mass hanging off the front. So you got to get a tuning kit, DPM kit, Armory Craft kit, ISMI kit, whoever, lighter springs, so that your pistol can cycle more reliably after adding that comp. So when you have the integrated comps on there, you really don't have to worry about any of that, okay? Because it's already made to run like this. You haven't added any extra mass. You've actually reduced a little bit. Whether it's significant or not, probably not. But it's going to run reliably. Then the holster issues with comps. I mean, some people are going to carry the stuff I wouldn't carry with a comp, but if it works 100% for you and you feel comfortable with it, then by all means, good luck finding holsters for stuff like that. When you have the integrated comps, you don't have holster issues or anything like that. So that's our expansion chamber on our 226 X5 Legion. And what kind of goes hand in hand with our comp is our barrel. This is a 4.4 inch bull barrel. Okay, so it is an X5, which typically means 5-inch barrel. X6 means 6-inch barrel. Well, this isn't going to be the X 4.4, which it probably should have been. But so it's got a 4.4 inch bull barrel. It's a little bit different bull barrel than our American-made X5. This one here kind of looks like a barrel inside a barrel, the way the crown's cut. Okay. This one here is more of just like a funnel, kind of tapered design that goes into the barrel itself. So 4.4 inch barrel. Basically our slides, everything's the same length. Okay. Same exact length. When they put the comp on there, obviously we have to reduce our barrel. Because if our barrel goes to the end here, then it is a gimmick. It is a paperweight if the barrel's covering up this port. And while we're on this subject, okay, with the X macro and all the other stuff, people are really confused when it comes to which tuning kit do you need, okay? And this goes with threaded barrels as well. So the tuning kits aren't based upon the barrel length itself actually, okay? So say we're using like an XL, okay, 365 XL. It's got a 3.7 inch barrel in it, 3.7 inch length slide, okay, because it's made to hold that 3.7 inch barrel up. It's longer, obviously, but we're calling it a 3.7 inch slide because it houses a 3.7 inch barrel, okay? So on something like this, with the compensator there, now we're putting in a shorter barrel, okay? So we're not going to use a shorter tuning kit because you're still in the same long gun, okay? So say on your X macro, I think that's a 3.1 inch barrel in that. So you're using your 3.1 inch barrel, but you're still using a 3.7 inch guide rod system, okay? Because your guide rod goes all the way into the dust cover here on the end of your slide. So it still needs to be that long from here to where the lug is on your barrel that your guide rod goes up against. So this length here hasn't changed, although your barrel length has changed. So a lot of people get confused on that. So don't worry about your thread length, your barrel length, and even when it sticks out, now they're talking about it's like a 4.3 inch barrel. I don't see a 4.3 inch kit. Well, outside the slide, it's irrelevant. That doesn't even come into any consideration on anything, okay? And SIG does their barrels really weird, how they got them sticking way out here with the threads way out here. So on your comps and stuff, the threads have to be way inside whatever you're screwing on here. So it's kind of a unique setup, but just remember that when you're doing tuning kits, you're going from here to here, not anything to do with the barrel length itself actually, okay? So like I said, 4.4 inch barrel. We got a carbon steel bull barrel, and this is 9mm, obviously, okay? So next up we have our front sight, And yes, mine is scratched up already because of my clamp for the trigger scan that grounds it. But who cares? It's only a sight, so nothing to cry about. It's better than putting it on something like this. Sacrificial sight. Anyway, so I was very happy to see that they did tritium sights on these, okay? Front and rear. We'll get to the rear in a second. Versus on our 226X5 American, we got a Dawson fiber optic in the front. And I actually put a Dawson fiber optic on my German one. This actually came to the blacked out front sight. I've gotten so used to shooting with the fiber optics outside because you can really get precise because it is such a small dot versus a blade. So I really like the Dawsons outside and everything. But this is pretty cool with the tritium because now you can use this at nighttime. You can even conceal carry it, EDC carry it, home defense, whatever the case may be. With a light on it and everything, the fiber optics would be fine as well. I understand that. But I like the fact that they're doing suppressor height sights, and it's a bonus that they're tritium sights. Okay, so there's our front sight. Standard SIG sight. And then we'll talk about our pick rail, 1913 pick rail, standard rail for all your lights and lasers and all them accessories and stuff like that. Same exact one is our 226X5 American, and just a little different than our 226 X5 German. Obviously doesn't have the dimple for the bridge mount and the weight because you can't get that crap anymore anyway. If you do, you're going to pay more than you probably bought your house for, but there's no need for something like that on this as well. So there's our pick rail and our front sight. So next I want to talk about our guide rod. Seems we just kind of touched a little bit on it, not specifically to this one here. So in order to see our guide rod, obviously we've got to field strip it, and to field strip it, it's a little bit different. It's not covered in your manual either for some reason, so I kind of want to go over it right now. Our thumb style takedown lever here, because you're going to be putting some force on it, pressing down while you're shooting, we don't want that to rotate at all. So we have this little pin here, which is our trigger pivot pin. It comes out, and our takedown lever sits right on top of it in a little groove, and it kind of locks it into place. So in order to rotate our takedown lever down to remove our slide, we got to get that pin out of the way first. Now, make sure your hammer's forward. It will work with it in the rear sometimes. It all depends on how much you have your trigger weight adjusted here, okay? And we'll talk about that during the trigger portion of this video. So basically, hammer's forward. I'm going to just rotate up on my takedown lever. It's going to go right into that notch on my slide. And then I'm going to push that pin in so it comes out this side over here, obviously. And then now we can rotate that like normal. So we're going to lock our slide to the rear. We're going to rotate our takedown lever down. And then we're going to release our slide just like that. So as you can see, we have our guide rod here. So let's remove that. This is actually 4 pieces. And it's kind of unique to this style setup. It came the same in our American one. And it's the same exact thing in our German one. So we have this first spring here, which we can remove. It's actually, I take it back. It is different than the other one. I'll show you in a second. Then we have this little collar right here. We'll take that off. And then we have this other shorter little small spring. And then we have our guide rod. Okay. This would be cool if somebody made a tungsten one of these because our frame is made of a different material. So we've lost some weight there. It'd be pretty cool if they made some tungsten ones. Hint, hint. So we can get a little bit more weight up front, seeing as we don't have an external comp either. Anyway, so how this system works, the way I understand it, and this could be wrong, I just want to put that out there. And if I am wrong, please, in the comments, put a post or a comment on there so we all understand what's going on. But you got to remember, this is kind of a upper level type firearm, so you want everything to be nice and smooth, nice and easy, nice and precise fit and all that stuff. So this, from what I've heard, is a lighter weight spring. And then we got a shorter, heavier weight spring here. So basically when we're racking our slide and when we're shooting and everything, this spring here is doing most of the work, the lighter spring. So racking it a lot easier. And then if you're shooting higher power factor loads or heavier bullets, and it needs more recoil spring, then this one here is going to start to come into play where it's a heavier, thicker, and it's going to absorb the rest of that momentum from the slide. So rather than put a heavy spring in here, and every single time you're racking it, it's a heavy, like the 220 I just got. I mean, that spring there, I mean, it's pretty stiff spring. So rather than have that in this, they want a, lighter spring type deal. So they came out with this type of setup. That's kind of the way I was taught how this system works. And then we have our 4.4-inch barrel, obviously. Okay, we already went over the barrel, but there's a little bit of a closer look of it. And then what I initially said was it's kind of the same setup, but if we look at our German one, which has a little bit different takedown lever, it's got a pin here, it's like a detent instead of our trigger pivot pin. But this one here has our spring, and then this it's a rod over a rod. Yeah, and that's captured, so I'm not sure how that comes off of there. I've never tried. I don't do much on this one because whatever you break, you can't get. So that one there was a little bit different compared to the Legion. And now I'm curious to see how this one, I'm willing to bet it's kind of like this here. That pin's already pushed out. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense having a completely different line. Reuse what you're already making. Okay, so there is a little bit difference between the German one and the US one. So I like to educate, so I might get off track a little bit on some of this stuff, but it's all interesting stuff to me, and maybe it is to you as well. Let's jump ahead to our rear sight, as we can see underneath it and everything now. So we have a rear adjustable sight. This is a little bit different than what we've already seen for many years from SIG, where these are tritium now. So they're not just blacked out sights. That's not a game changer, but that's pretty awesome. That is something probably worth stocking on the website, so people that want to switch over to tritium, they don't lose that adjustability in the rear sight. I'm a huge fan of the rear adjustable sight. I love it. So if you're at the range and you're a little bit off, I mean, I know you're supposed to fix the problem while you're a little bit off, but rather than waste a whole bunch of ammo that day, you can just do a couple clicks up, couple clicks left or right or whatever, and then you're right on target, and then you're having a fun time out at the range. I actually, when I first got my X Compact, I had the SIG armor actually custom fit a X5 Legion rear adjustable sight to my X Compact. Big fan. No tritium though back in the day. So that's kind of cool that they have the tritium now. So here's your elevation adjustment right here up top, and then you have your windage left and right here on the side, and then underneath you can see our two mounting bolt or our mounting screws. These look like they're T10s. T10 kind of fits a little bit loose. See that? It's not an Allen wrench, because the 2mm is pretty loose too, and it clearly looks like a Torx, and it does break it loose and everything. So does not come with tools, like I said, so I'm guessing that's a T10 because the T15 is too big, and a 2mm is too small, and a 2.5mm won't fit either. No, won't fit. So T10 is what you got. So there you have it. Tritium rear sight, adjustable, X5 style sight. So as you can see, we put it all back together. Let's talk about our hammer next. That's nothing really much to talk about here other than it's just a hammer. I always wanted a skeletonized hammer when these were out, because I think the skeletonized hammer looks great in the German one. And Armory Craft does make skeletonized hammers, so you can put a skeletonized hammer in it. I think this one looked kind of wonky in the classic, elegant style firearm. But it actually does look like it belongs more on the more tactical looking 226 X5. So that doesn't bother me as much on this one. I would still like the skeletonized hammer. And skeletonized, less mass, moves faster. Your competitive shooters probably benefit from it more than most anybody else. It's probably something you're not going to notice as a recreational shooter. But so that doesn't really bother me. I'm not saying that's a negative in this one. We got our mag release, extended mag release. Now, when the extended mag releases were first coming out for the classics, the 226, 229, stuff like that, people were all like, oh my God, you could trip over that thing, and they're all against it, accidentally drop your mag and everything. But I mean, that's because people, they don't know, okay? they go off of what they have. They base their opinion on that. Armchair captains, all that stuff. That's kind of what we're getting at here. Where there's other companies that have been successfully doing this stuff for decades. Okay, so our German one, obviously extended mag release in there. That's been in there. Who knows how long they've been doing that. SIG USA adopted it in theirs, and then they carried it right over to the Legion. And when I'm shooting, obviously you got your one thumb on your takedown lever, and on an SAO you're kind of using your safety for your other thumb. Okay, when I'm sitting there and I'm shooting like this, I can't even feel that mag release. It's kind of in a void right here. Okay, I can feel it when I move my hand forward, but when I'm shooting regularly like that, I can't even feel that mag release. And I've yet to dump a magazine on accident having an extended mag release in my firearm. So there you go. Very nice texturing and everything. Angled forward a little bit for when your thumb wants to curve around it. It's got a little bit more surface area for your thumb to grab onto there. Yeah, not much special about it. It is the new style, obviously. So it's got the little wedge in there. Okay, so be mindful of that if you're going to get a replacement for it. So there you go. Next, obviously being SAO, we have a manual safety. It is a very tactile, very audible, very positive safety. Obviously, trigger does not work. So while we're talking about that, you got to be very careful anytime you're making adjustments to the trigger. If you take out too much pre-travel, and this is the same on regular, even the classics like your 226 Legions and stuff like that. If you take out too much pre-travel, it's pulling your trigger bar forward, and then the safety doesn't interact with the trigger bar like it's supposed to. And on this one here, if I put in too much pre-travel, I engage the safety. It does engage all the way, but then you pull the trigger and it discharges the firearm, and that is obviously not a good scenario. So you're always function check. Anytime you've worked on, disassembled, modified, or anything to any firearm, you perform your functions check to make sure all the features still work properly as designed from the manufacturer. So I'm going to do a disassembly video on the 226 X5 because there's getting to be a lot of them out there now. Complete disassembly and reassembly. This has a regular safety on it like all the classics. It's got the through bolt. You just take the through bolt out first, and then the little spring that the detent works off of, that little clip or whatever you want to call it, you remove that, and then your safety is basically in two portions. You just take this side out this side, that side out that side. It's pretty easy. So I'll do a disassembly and reassembly video, and then I was going to do a trigger scan portion on the end of this video, but this one's getting pretty long already. Showing you how wide of a range, and that's my post I posted yesterday on Facebook. I didn't tell people what it was. I just wanted everybody to kind of guess at what it was. And it was basically this trigger adjusted all the way out, nothing like most amount of pre-travel, most amount of over travel, most amount of weight. And then I adjusted everything up and did another scan. So that's the two different scans on that graph. And that's how dramatic you can make this adjustments on this trigger. From really minimalistic, like no pre-travel, no over-travel, very light, to a lot of pre-travel, a lot of over-travel, heavy. It's not really heavy in this one. But, so that's what that graph is all about. We'll do a separate trigger scan video. So there's our safety. A lot of grease in there from the manufacturer. Nothing too awesome about the safety, I guess. So while we are talking about the manual safety, the only thing I do not like about any of these, even the German one, is how difficult it is to manipulate the slide release with the manual safety being in the way. You can see it really just kind of covers it right up. If you don't have humongous hands where you can get right up on top of that thing nice and easily over your manual safety, you do have a little bit of a hard time pushing that down. Okay, so if I had to do that all day, I'm sure my finger would kind of feel it at the end of the day. But I mean, an extended slide release, kind of maybe out as far as my safety or something, would maybe help that a little bit. That's the only negative I have to say about any of these pistols, is the slide release. And it's like that on all of them. So it is what it is, I guess. I mean, if you put a mag in there, you can always release it different ways. But I just, it's always been a hard time for me to get my thumb, especially as hard as it is to push down to begin with, to get that to push down to release a slide. So that would be the only negative I have really with the firearm. Everything else is absolutely perfect. Next, let's talk about where the money is really at, and that's with our trigger. And first of all, this comes with a flat trigger. Okay, this is the trigger that actually was in this pistol. I had gotten this curved trigger from a guy, I think he was from Italy, a doctor, a while back, because I really liked the German curved trigger. So I wanted both of these to match. So I got an authentic one from the master shop, from a guy overseas. And if anybody is listening that can get another one of these triggers, I'm your guy. I would love to buy it off of you. It's pretty steeply priced from what I remember on the last one with the shipping and everything. But it was super, super cool. I think the guy was a doctor. I don't know if I said that already, but he hooked me up. Appreciate it very much. And if you got another one of these, if you're listening, or anybody else, please send me an email. I would like to get another one of these. Also, if you're a manufacturer of trigger parts, how cool would it be to make a trigger shoe for all of these, you know, that you can get a curved trigger in these pistols. So not everybody is into the full size or the flat triggers in the full size. So it'd be nice to have those options. Anyway, so having said that, comes with a flat trigger. It is a 4-way adjustable trigger. Most everything you read about, even in the manual, says 3-way. I can understand where they're talking about the pre-travel, over-travel, and the weight, but there is a 4th adjustment. You have your position itself, where you can move it forwards and backwards. I do have a previous video to where I showed you all the adjustments on the German one. It's the exact same trigger system in this one here, okay? So we have this little hole in the front here, and these are all 2mm. So get yourself a nice, brand new, like 2mm Allen wrench, and then we're going to stick it in here, and I can feel it's in there nice and tight. There's no play or anything. You don't want to strip these screws out or anything, so make sure you start off with a really good, brand new Allen wrench. Not something that's all rounded and everything already. So when on our trigger pull weight, basically if we back this screw out all the way, that's as light as you're going to get the trigger, okay? So a couple things here. When we back it out all the way, it interacts with our trigger pivot pin, okay? So if I back that out, and once it stops, don't keep forcing it. You're at the end of the travel. You're going to strip stuff. You're going to break stuff if you continue to try to turn it when it wants to stop. So just when you feel some resistance, that's it. You're all as far as you can go. So what I found out is if I had that backed all the way off to make this as light as possible, I had a really hard time. Like I can't even push in that pin now for my takedown lever, okay? I mean, it's like really stuck there. So what I have to do is just kind of come in here and then put a little bit of a turn in there. And then now it pushes fine, okay? So if you ever run into where, see how this is hard going in that way now? If you've ever run into where you're having a hard time pushing this stuff in and out, still having a hard time. Oops, I actually backed that off when I was trying to push it in. Whenever that moves hard, it's because your adjustment here is backed off way too much. So if you need to take it apart and all that stuff, kind of turn it in a little bit, do whatever you got to do, and then you can turn it back out. You can run it all the way out. Just know that this pin here is not going to move as freely. Also, there's been times where this pin was not all the way in or all the way out. It was kind of in the middle. And then my slide, it's not doing it now, but my slide, I could not move it back. It was like jammed up against something. And what I found out was this was not pushed in all the way or out or whatever the case may have been, okay? So this little pin here can mess up a lot of stuff, and so can this adjustment here. So just be mindful of all those things, okay? So we have, this is all the way out. Right there, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 complete turns for our trigger pull weight, okay? So right now it's cranked all the way in, so this is as heavy as that trigger is going to be. Now our manual says 2.5 to 4 pounds. In this one here, and it's going to be different in all pistols. In this one here, I got nowhere near 4 pounds. My heaviest was like 3.1 or 3.2 pounds. And my lightest was 2.1 pounds. Okay, so it wasn't a huge sweep on this one. On my German one, basically the same exact trigger setup. I can get down to I think it was like 1.2 pounds on this, and I don't remember what the max was, but it was dramatically a lot less than this one. And I forget what this one was. But, so we have our trigger pull weight. I'm going to just back this out a little bit again. Like I said, we can almost go like 6 whole turns. I don't go all the way to the end. I kind of go like probably a half turn back. Make sure my pin moves freely, which it does. So that is our trigger pull weight. Okay. And then we have another hole under here, which our Allen wrench will go right down in behind our trigger. And there's an Allen screw back there. So depending on where your trigger position is, if it's too far back, you won't be able to get straight onto that screw. So you're going to have to readjust your trigger position by pulling it forward. And then you can make your over travel adjustment. And then if you want, you can move this back where it was initially. So our over travel screw is right there. So with your over travel, any adjustment that you adjust, you can overdo it. Okay. So with our over travel, if you over adjust that, obviously it's fine right now. If we over adjust this, you're going to know it's a problem. Oops. You got to be very careful because the plate or the piece that the trigger rides on, when you're adjusting your over travel, it's actually pivoting it like this. So if you pivot it too far forward, your Allen wrench can't get square into the Allen screw. So what I recommend is one of the Allen wrenches with the ball end. So that way, oops, I want to go in. No, yeah, I want to go in. So that way you're not getting this in crooked and possibly damaging the screw in there. Okay, so obviously we're way too much. Won't fire. Not a good thing. So you're going to know right away if you've gone too much or not. So we'll put this back in here. And what I do is I have it, the hammer back. I pull on the trigger and I back the screw out until it goes off. Like right there. Okay, so. And if you don't want to be on the hairy edge, just kind of back that out on the quarter turn or whatever. And that's basically your over travel adjustment. Okay. This is a 2.5 millimeter. So your trigger shoe, Allen wrench. You don't have to take the screw all the way out. It does talk about this portion in your owner's manual. It does say to remove the screw all the way. You don't have to remove the screw all the way. This is our trigger right here. As you can see, there's kind of like some teeth up top here. And try to get the best angle here for you guys. If you look in here, you can see some matching teeth here. So they kind of, as you slide that trigger forward and backwards, it's kind of going over teeth, and then you lock it down, and the trigger is kind of like clamped around it. So it's kind of like that. It kind of clamps around like an I-beam. When your through bolt here, you tighten it up, it pulls these two in, and it makes it nice and tight. And then the grooves, the teeth here, keep it from going back and forth. Okay, so that's all your trigger is. If someone, Armory Craft, could make these curved, that'd be awesome. And then there's a better look at our over travel adjustment screw. Okay. And then maybe some painter's tape here and stuff when you're putting this on and off so you don't scratch up your trigger guard. To put this back in, basically just put one side on, put the other side on. 2.5 millimeter. You hear that ratcheting? You hear that? It's the teeth. So you just get it so where it's loose enough to where you can slide it forwards and backwards. Get it to where you want it. I want a little more back than that. And then tighten it down. I forget what the torque spec is. It's in the owner's manual. I should have looked that up. It's in inch pounds, but basically tighten that back up to the manufacturer's specification. Test it out, and you're all set. So there's our trigger position adjustment. Our fourth adjustment and last adjustment's inside, so we got to remove our slide. And you'll see right here there's another Allen screw. Okay. So this one right here is our pre-travel. And if you watch as I tighten this down, you'll actually see the trigger move. See the trigger going back, and actually you don't want that to go off with your slide off, okay? And then it's not good. So make sure you have your thumb over that so that does not happen. But you can see, obviously, there's too much pre-travel because it obviously went off. And then, like, what I'm getting at here with too much adjustment, I'm going to see if I can do this here. Okay, right there, it's not engaging at all. Okay, so I got to back this out a little bit. Okay, to where my hammer will stay back. Okay, so if we put our slide on, we'll see if we can get a first time go here. Make sure our safety lever's down, and that might be up. Yeah, there. Put that over like that. So basically, you when you make your adjustments, you got to. It's going to change when you put your slide on. Okay, because just a second ago that hammer, it did move. Okay, so that's obviously way too much, but that's not what I want to demonstrate here. So let's back it off just a little bit more. We'll put this back on. Okay, so that will fire. Rack our slide again. Put our safety on. See that? Not good. So this is not all the way up. If it's anything like my other one, because you can see this, the color of your slide underneath our safety lever and above our grip. So I can't see any of that here now. So I know that that's not all the way on. And then the white dot over here, I think the white dot's on this side, it's not visible, so I can't see it's on safety. But you're led to believe your safety's on. And if you're walking around carrying it like this, and that happens, not a good idea. So although that thing functions, you've rendered your safety useless, and you've really made this thing dangerous to carry, okay? So that's kind of what I was getting at with over adjustments. So you really want to make sure that you're on the safe side. So I went like a half a turn there. No white dot. Where was I seeing the white dot? Maybe on the 220, the SAU 220. So anyway, when I have my safety up, now you can see in between here, I can see above the grip, and I can see below the manual safety, the Legion gray. It's better represented on here. You can see the gray, the silver from the frame. So if you can see that, you know you're all the way up. It's all the way engaged, and it's not going to go off. Okay. Same thing here. So again, whenever you adjust, too much, not good. Okay, so always do your function checks afterwards, and make sure it's completely safe. Okay, so moving right along, let's talk about our grips. These are very nice grips. They're not like overly obnoxious. Not that these are obnoxious, but the Piranha or the Chain Link or whatever hoe grips you got, these aren't like that. These are more like the AXG, like the skateboard tape type feeling, to where it's aggressive enough but not too aggressive. So I really like those. It's got our nice Legion emblem on there. And then these are pretty unique, okay? So this is one off of the American 226 X5. Let's go to grams, and we'll weigh that. That's 32 grams, okay? And these are just like the Hogue ones. They feel like kind of like fiberglass, okay? Pretty light. If we take a look at our 226 X5 Legion ones, so this was 32. These are 97. They're like 3 times the weight. Why? Well, 320 X5 TXG, tungsten infused grip module, tungsten powder, put into, these things are heavy. Tungsten powder put right in with the resin or whatever they're using to make these grips, and it is night and day. Okay, so way heavier, obviously. And that's good, because the thing I wasn't very happy with is SIG has switched to the aluminum frame. It's trying to go to the steel and parts inside, but we have an aluminum frame here. Okay, obviously a stainless steel slide, aluminum frame, and then on our American 226 X5 we have a steel frame, steel slide. So because they went to aluminum on this, obviously it's going to be a reduction in weight. It's pretty cool that they did the tungsten powder in here, because the weight difference between the two is not that much at all. So these grips make up for a lot of that weight. And if we could get a tungsten guide rod made for these things, we'd be just as heavy, if not heavier, than the other two. So pretty cool. Tungsten infused TXG grip handles, SIG's calling it. Very, very nice. While we are on the discussion of weight, let's do a quick weigh-in. We have these are no magazines, no ammo in it, obviously. 226 X5 from the German Master Shop. We got 1,188 grams. Okay. 1188. We have our 226 X5 US. 1237. That surprised me in my last video that it was actually heavier than the German one. So that's awesome, SIG USA. So 1236, 37. 1093. So that's a little disappointing. The heavier, the less recoil, okay? Because it's going to not absorb, but it's going to help mitigate, dampen, if you want to think of it that way, that recoil, the heavier the firearm. There's a downside to that too. Heavier isn't always better, especially even in the competitive shooting world, because some people feel that when you're transitioning from one target to another, that momentum is harder to stop because of a heavier pistol. So there's both sides of the argument, like there is with everything. But I would like it just a little heavier, seeing as the counterparts are already heavier. So a tungsten guide rod in there. Let's grab one really quick. We have an X5 one here, which obviously it's not made for this, but this is a good little experiment. So this is our Springer Precision tungsten guide rod. Stick that baby on there. We're at 1186. So the other one was 1188. 1188 from the European mothership. So with a this is again, it's the X5 one, so there's gonna be a less material down here on a 226. So, but it's gonna be right around where our European 226 X5s are, which in my opinion would be awesome. If you can add that little bit of extra weight with an aluminum grip, that's pretty good. Moving right along, we have our magwell here. Everybody nowadays knows what a magwell is all about. So it does come with one. Europeans call it a jet funnel. Basically allows us to go on pretty extreme angles and get our magazine to slide in there, which is very nice. While we're talking about our magazine, the base pads on these magazines have a nice little lip in here. So if you do have an issue where you're having a hard time and your mag will not drop on its own weight, you have something to grab onto there with your finger and yank that baby right out of there. So all three of our magazines have that style base pad. I believe our 226 American one came with it as well. And I don't think the Europeans had it on theirs. So that's one up for us. And it does have the nice Legion emblem there on the bottom of the base pad. Our frame does have a chamfered edge on the inside there. So if you do decide to run it without a magwell, that might help you a little bit. Doesn't look like it's too functional to me, but whatever. There is no weights on the inside there or anything. Obviously, there's no room for it. And that's really about all there is to say about the magwell and the base pad. So there's really only a couple more things we can talk about. We already talked about the stainless steel slide. It's they're calling it an alloy SIG. So an alloy frame, aluminum, whatever the case may be. Our coating here is the signature Cerakote Elite Legion Gray. Top secret stuff there. I've been trying to get paint code so I can do some projects to match. I'm having a hard time coming up with that pin code, but I'll get it eventually. So obviously it's on all their Legions and everything. I love the color. It's kind of like a greenish brown gray, I guess is the best way to describe it. And then we have our nice serrations here on our front strap, on our trigger guard, both sides. So if you're wrapping your thumb around here or whatnot, I mean, I can barely even reach that. Underneath, obviously, I don't think I use really those that much, but the front one's nice to have those serrations as well. Okay, so there's our Cerakote color. All right, so lastly, let's talk about cost, okay? Because a lot of people have a hard time justifying spending this amount of money for this firearm here, okay? So X5 Legion, I'm not even sure what these things are going for anymore. They used to be more expensive than they are now. I got MSRP on a regular X5 Legion at $749. I mean, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on who you get it from. Obviously, by the time you put in all the upgrades into it, you're well over $1,000. And that, so very awesome shooter. I really love this gun. I almost probably shoot it the best. So that's that. That's the X5 Legion. Now, when we get a little bit more expensive, the Max, okay, the 320 Max, you're talking about $1,749 for the Max. Okay, so now you're into the ballpark of some of this stuff like this. And again, it's a 320. It's a striker fired 320. I don't have a Max. I don't know if I'll ever get a Max. I got enough 320s as it is. But even saying that, the DH3 came out. I felt the need to have a DH3. Does not come with a threaded barrel, though. Obviously comes with your optic cover on there through the SRO on there. For those of you that need an SRO battery cover tool, I now own that company. You can get them off my website, plus the SROtool.com. I sell a ton of those. You're not going to screw up your cap. You can almost get on it with a flat tip, but it's not straight down. And this thing, because it's such fine threads on it, you got to do quite a few turns before it relieves that pressure between the O-ring and the cap and the wall. So it starts turning easy. And in those turns, you're really just jacking up your SRO battery cap there. So side note, stuff's available on sigguy.com as well. Anyway, so the DH3, pretty nice. I really like it. Daniel Horner, their pro shooter. They did a series for him. But our DH3 is coming in at $1,299, so $1,300 for basically a 320. I mean, that's quite a bit of cash too. Our 229 SAO Legion, completely factory, from SIG. You're looking at right around the same thing. It's like $1,429 is the SMRP currently. So you're at $1,400, and then this thing here, I got it. It's upgraded with everything. All Armory Craft stuff. We got the SIG Armor's Super Strut, and then competition trigger springs and all that stuff in here. And this trigger here, the reset, is super short. This is like my best trigger until I got into the 226 X5s. So this is like $1,400 gun now. I don't know what they were back in the day, and whatever, prices change. But $1,429 plus add maybe another $1,000 into it. Now you're definitely into the same price range as this. Okay, so this shoots very well. Does not shoot, or the trigger and everything. It's still not this. You're spending all that money to try to be like this, but it is still not this. Okay, so the difference between these two is you put all that money into it to upgrade it. This doesn't need any upgrades. This is all done. It's about as best as it's going to ever shoot, no matter what you throw at it. Okay, so that's kind of the difference between people on Facebook saying, "Oh, I got a Legion. That's not even worth the extra $1,000." Well, they have never shot one of these. They have never even racked a slide on one of these, because even when you do that, you're like, wow, it's like butter, compared to, stamped steel stuff. So it's two completely different animals. Okay, you can't really compare the two. And then you got your, this, a lot of people have these, and a lot of people got them at the right time. So when I got this one here, this was $5,000. Okay, I could not even justify spending that much back in the day. But knowing that they were going out of business, this was a special edition for Armory Craft and everything. I could make payments on it and all this other stuff. It made it more doable. Okay. So, and this is entry level for this stuff. Even back in the day, $5,000 entry level. This stuff goes up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see the stuff at like 25. It's ridiculous on Gunbroker and stuff what this other stuff is going for that came from the master shop. So this ship, like I said, is sailed. You ain't getting this stuff anymore. And if you do, you're remortgaging your house to get the stuff. So $5,000. This one came out here. People were crying about $2,500. It's half the price of the other one. So it is more expensive than your USA 226 Legions and stuff like that. And I'm not saying everybody should buy one of these because everybody can afford one. I know everybody's circumstances are different. I'm not saying that. But I'm talking about is when people on Facebook make comments about it's not worth the extra $1,000, it's everybody that has these, they're laughing every time they read that because they know that person has never shot or even held one of these. Okay. So anyway, for SIG to come out with this, it's now all those people that missed that ship because it sailed. Guess what? Now you can buy it. Okay. And just buy once, cry once. I always tell people this, and I'm rambling a little bit. I know this. Knowing what I know now, if Milos had hooked me up with this years and years and years ago, my safe would be very empty because I would have a lot less pistols, okay? Because you're always trying to buy that pistol, doing the upgrades to it, making it awesome. Then you got all these parts left over, so you get an FCU and you put together another pistol. Then you got to upgrade it again, and it's just a kind of vicious cycle. But once you start getting into stuff like this, so the conversations I've had with people the last few days, since I've posted pictures on this, is a lot of people don't have a hammer-fired gun. All these guys have striker-fired guns. They love their Spectre comps, and they love all their 365s and their 320s. That stuff's great. I love mine too. But you have to experience a hammer-fired gun. And I'm not saying you have to go with SIG or anything. You can go with many Kimbers. I mean, the Staccatos. There's all kinds of really nice ones out there. But my advice is if you do take a plunge on a hammer-fired classic-type pistol, buy once, cry once, okay? Just save up. Sell some of your other guns or whatever. A lot of guys do that. They flip. I don't know how. I'm so jealous because I get married to everything. But some people, they'll like buy something, part it out. That gives them extra money. They'll do it a couple times. Now they got a bunch of extra money and they can invest it into a whole new gun. They're into it for nothing. That just takes time. So, I mean, if you got to do that, then that's what you got to do. But I just feel like everybody should experience one, especially the new people into the industry, the new hobbyists and all that stuff. They really need to. You can go rent this stuff too. It's a lot of these gun ranges. I mean, some of them have the classic 226 X5. Just go in there and shoot it. I mean, buy a box of ammo, shoot it at a range, and then be like, wow, I really need one of those. So all I'm getting at is between this and this, night and day, not even the same ballpark. Stop comparing the two, okay? They're not even close to being the same, okay? One of my other, this is like my prized 320. Just talk about this real quick. I mean, I have more money into this thing than I paid for this thing, okay? So this thing here, as awesome as it is just trying to be like this, and it will never be this, okay? Even though I have more money into it. Curious too. Let's do a little weigh in here because we got solid brass grips, steel backstrap, tungsten guide rod, Neuroso slide. So this baby's 1178. Heavier than that one. Anyway, so it's just not going to be the 226 X5. So if you did decide to buy this, you are not going to be disappointed at all. There are still plenty of upgrades if you want to switch some stuff over. Hammer, extended mag release and stuff that you can get from these other companies. Obviously, you're going to put a red dot or a green dot on it or whatnot. So there is still some stuff you can do. Most of it's unnecessary. You really don't need to do anything to this, but maybe put a red dot on it. Right out of the box, it's good to go. So it could be an investment, whatnot, you know. Maybe you'll never even shoot it. Maybe you'll hand it down. Whatever the case may be. I think everybody's going to be completely happy with this. Even all the ones I have over there, this is my new favorite right now. I haven't even shot it yet. I just got it yesterday. So I really just need to get out and shoot it as well. but I've shot my other ones that are just like this, so I expect the same result, maybe a little bit less muzzle flip because of my integrated comp. All this stuff, as far as upgrades and everything for all those other pistols as well, available on sigguy.com. I am constantly adding tons and tons and tons of stuff on there. Over here, I just got a lot of boxes, big boxes. I got a Cool Fire trainer dealer now, so all that stuff's on the website. I just got to put the inventory in there so it's available for purchase. I am going to offer CO2 filling as well, so an exchange type program. I just got to figure that out. I got all the stuff to do it. I just got to figure out how it's economical for you and me to do that. So, but the Cool Fire trainer, for those of you that don't know, you can get it for a lot of different models. I got them for the 365s, the XLs, the X Macro. I believe I got AXGs. I think I got X5s in there, and a couple more. But you basically take your barrel out, put this barrel in there. It's basically a CO2 cartridge, but it's a barrel and the recoil spring. You put it all back together, you charge it with CO2, and then when you pull your trigger, it actually cycles the slide for you every time you pull the trigger. So it's as real as you can get without the bang and without the bullet flying. And then I also got the kits where you can add a laser to the end of your cartridge, okay, because you got to fill it through that cartridge. But when you put a laser on, there's two different ones. You got to take the laser off to fill it, or you can leave the laser on and fill through the laser. Those ones are a little more expensive. But regardless, so that way you can use it with your I-sight or G-sight or whatever other laser trainer you got. You can use it with that, and that's as real as it gets. So just wanted to mention that really quick, the Cool Fire trainer stuff. So I appreciate everybody's support. Like I said, I'll make a trigger scan video on this, and I will do a complete disassembly and reassembly video also. Also, if you like this type of video, there'll be a subscribe button right down here. If you could smash that baby, I'd really appreciate it. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.